So our last question of the day is, what are the common gaps you see between SDS availability and actual employee awareness or training?
Well, I'll
Anyone?
tell you from a
Yeah.
historical standpoint, when it was called an MSDS, especially in the United States, you were lucky to have enough information to have meaningful data to use at the beginning. And everything was analog and had to be updated every year. And now we've got these websites that give you SDSs that are up to date. We were lucky if we had enough data to be useful 15, 20 years ago. Now the whole process is data driven and there's a bunch of information, but the regulatory framework around it is changing. So you have to pay attention. One SDS will not work across the globe. It won't do it. So you have to make sure that you're meeting the needs of the local regulatory environment and then taking that information and making sure it's imparted to the employees. Because if without that information transfer, they're not getting adequate protection.
For me, well, I have in here a very strong opinion about the safety data sheets. It's just they are too generic. Sometimes they go to oh my gosh. I try to read them. I tell, oh, this is the legislation says the manufacturer or producer has to give them instruction and clear risks, and we call it in here prudent or prudential or precaution phrases. Phrases, yeah, safety pressure and what to do. But they're too generic, and I'm like, all right, what do I do with this? And then how I do transmit it to the worker. Sometimes I call the producer. Sometimes I have done it. I have called the chemical guy and I say, oh, your safety data sheet says this, and they say yes, and it's up to you. That the safety sheet I had read it is the criteria that I choose, and I say, but you are giving me, I don't know, the seven, the number seven is what I see the precaution or what to do, and it is too generic, and I call them, this I have this problem. I say, oh, it's up to you. You decide it, but it is not. I probably Hans will help me with that. It's too generic for me, so I have to decide it myself. The producer is not helping me, not in the way that I would love. It is sad, but it is the true safety data sheet is too generic because they are, I don't know, because they have to follow some legislation. So I some instructions that I have to do it myself for the employee. I don't know, Andrew, Hans, giving if I am wrong, please help me.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that, because the SDSs, they become way too long for how should I say, on the chemical operators to handle them themselves. The SDS may be 20, 30, 40 pages, depending on if it's a exposure scenario included in it. So we've seen previous documentation related to handling chemicals saying that workers should always print out and include the SDS with them while they're working with the chemicals. But if you're working with 3, 4, 5, 6 chemicals, then you compile pages and pages of chemical data you won't be able to handle. So I totally agree with you. So structuring chemical data in more easier understandable ways, as in creating risk reports or safety summaries or emergency response cards or similar kind of documentation to make it as simple as possible for those that actually handle the chemicals. That's very important. And if you're able to, you can use pads, your mobile phones or iPads or anything to show this information as well. So that's also interesting going into that kind of information communication.
I agree.
I agree, but so one thing I would like to say about when SDSs have become long, we do have platforms that support questions in SDSs through AI with you can just ask the question like, I would like to know what's in section 3, and an AI could answer it for you. That's one specialty that where I work for, SDS Manager has to make these things like what Juan had said, these scenarios easier for people to not go through the whole safety data sheet, but to just ask a question related to that safety data sheet or a certain part, and that can be answered. This is where, let's say that what we spoke about before, AI and tech come into play, that some things they do help making it easier. I'm sure Andrew has used our platform and would agree here.
Well, absolutely. SDS Manager has been a game changer for us. The simplicity, and love the electronic storage. So could not endorse or recommend anymore. It's been very helpful for us across the globe.